Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Right, let me know if the sound is working. Just put in the comments if anyone can hear, or you want me to raise the sound. I don't know if I haven't done a live stream for a long time, so settings might have just shifted slightly. So let me know. Let me know the what's it, if you guys can hear, if sound's working. Yeah, if you can hear, please put in the comments, inshallah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, let me just. Yeah, you like the kitten, yeah? Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, the kitten's very cute. The kitten's right next to me. I'm going to show you her in a bit. I'll show you guys her in a bit. She's just messing around somewhere. Yeah, so come here. Everyone wants to see you. Yeah, she's a bit shy of. Okay, so. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yeah, you want a hamster, your parents won't allow you. But don't worry, when you grow up, inshallah, you can have all the pets you like. Inshallah. Fusini, mashallah. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Kulthum, mashallah, jazakallah khair. Angela, I hope you're well. Google user, alhamdulillah. R.I. Kim, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, as you guys know, I've got this new friend, family member. Come on. Aye. Now she keeps jumping on the keyboard. I think she's shy of you guys. For some reason, she has hidden herself under my small little laptop table. So here she is. This is her. As you can see now, some of you guys recommended I should just name her. I'm going to read some of the names that you guys have chosen here. And some of them are very interesting. Yeah, very nice names. But yeah, here she is. She likes to climb on things. She likes to do some crazy stuff. What are they? So okay, some of you guys have mentioned some good names. I'm just going to read them out to you guys. Yeah, from my the last post that. Okay, so Sister Sophia says she has 3 cats. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, 3 cats. I don't know how you take care of 3 cats. But if you can take care of 3 cats, excellent, excellent. Okay, name the cat Jamila. Jamila. That's a good name. Call her Lia Cat Zaman. Yeah, we can call her that after me. Yeah, I used to be called. Look, now she's trapped herself here between some books. Yeah, I think she wants to destroy all my collection. Yeah, so this is what she does basically. Yeah, this is the kind of things she gets up to. All right, so let me just check out some more. So now she's standing on the keyboard now. I have to move the keyboard. Cat must bring in mice often alive so they can run around the house. I mean, our cats have always captured mice here. They might bring them in alive, but they usually deal with them, sort them out. She has blue eyes, green eyes. I think she has green eyes. I haven't really kind of looked that carefully at her eyes. And S. Khan is saying Allah gives better than what you replace. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Give it a Pashtun name. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a Pashtun name. So some of my mom's aunties' names, proper Pashtun style names, like Tote and Bonita. Jasmine. Lovely, Jasmine, Bonita. These are 3 good names. Yeah, come on. Yeah, so you can probably hear her purring away. Okay, so Bonita. Bonita, does that mean beautiful? I think in Spanish that means beautiful. Jasmine, that reminds me of Aladdin. And Lovely. Lovely, that was a name of, there was this girl in our school called Lovely. I don't think she was very lovely. If she's female, then call her Sophie. Sophie. Okay, I've got a cousin sister called Sophie. Rosie. Rosie. Hira or Horeira. Hira, Horeira. Yeah, very good names. Excellent. So, yeah, so this is her. Can you guys see her? So this is what she does. Let me check her eyes. Let me see your eyes. Come here. Look at me. Oh, she got grey eyes. Yeah, she's got grey eyes. So she's like kind of grey eye kind of one. Let me show you her. There you are. Okay, so now I'm going to answer your guys' questions. Right, so let me see if she can sit on my lap. How long she can sit on my lap for? Because the thing is, she keeps going for my fingers. I don't think she thinks my fingers are something funny to play with. So she's just looks at my fingers. Look, she looks at my fingers, and then she just jumps on them. Yeah, and she just wants to play. Well, you play with her fingers, right? Naughty. Okay, so let her rest. Okay, just show you guys so you can see her resting. Alright, so let's first of all look at the questions on Curious Cat. Yeah. Can you guys hear her purring in the mic? Yeah, she just purrs. Okay, now I've got to remember where the questions start from. Okay. What do you want? You want a beard? Alright, so I think the questions were from here. How do you purify a mattress after it's been soiled? Yeah, she's looking at me going to sleep. Yeah. Yeah, she's staring at me, staring at my beard, shaking it in. She's gone to sleep now. So she's asleep, by the way, yeah? Her eyes are closed. She does that cat thing, goes into standby mode. Okay, how do you purify a mattress after it's been soiled by najasa? So if you have a mattress that's been spoiled by najasa, then the way that the mattress is cleaned is, as long as you can get a wet cloth or rub the wet cloth on it, squeeze it out, and do that 3 times. So you wet it, heavily wet cloth, put it on the mattress, and do it 3 times, and that should be sufficient. So you do it once, you rinse it out, wet it again, do it twice, yeah, and dry it up, and a 3rd time, and that should be sufficient. Okay. Okay, next, where can I get more info and register for your Arabic classes? Unfortunately a bit late. I read that a bit late, 23 days ago. So if you want to join, there's this online, mashallah, there's an amazing sister who is running online Arabic classes for sisters. The courses that I do, but she's doing it with sisters. If anyone is interested in that, I don't know if there's any spaces left, but she has lots of students. She's got lots of So she's one of the TAs of Roots of Knowledge. MashaAllah, Sister Amina. So you can get in contact with her, and it's basically different courses you can do. So alhamdulillah, she's covering a lot of the courses. So that's something. There's a brothers one as well, but there's not that many brothers as there are sisters on the group. So she runs the sister side. And I could put details. I mean, I haven't really advertised this. This has actually happened because sister Amina, she had some friends that wanted to learn Arabic, and so the courses that I do, she helped them with that, and then it just picked up on word of mouth, and then lots of people became interested in it, and then it just took off from there. Alhamdulillah. And there's, I don't know how many students there are now, loads of students from all around the world. Alhamdulillah. So what I'll do is I can put details afterwards on my email. You can contact me through email, then I can forward your details to Sister Amina for ladies. And for brothers we do have, but we're kind of restricting it for brothers. We're going to open it up a bit later, inshallah. And if it goes well, and maybe we'll just open it up and advertise it later on. But at the moment, I'm not really too. I mean, the main thing with teaching is quality at the end of the day. So it's not really about the quantity; it's more about the quality. So this is why we're not really kind of opening it up. We're not advertising it. You probably haven't heard any advertisement from my side, Roots of Knowledge. Okay, so so in the details, inshallah, afterwards. So check out tomorrow or later on, and try to put the details in the description. And if Sister Amina is here, maybe you can just give a shout out, and those sisters can just link up with you. Okay, so next, if a person can only sit and pray salah, then can they sit with their legs stretched out even if they can sit in any other way? So if a person can only sit, so if they can only sit, then they should ideally sit in the posture of tashahhud. So as they sit in tashahhud, that's how they should sit. Otherwise, if they can't sit in that posture, any posture that's easy for them, they can sit. The main thing in salat is, look, if you can do it, then you should do it. In other words, if you can stand, you must stand. If you can't stand, then you sit. And if you can't sit down, you can lie down. Right, so that's the way it works. Assalamu alaikum. Does Fadail A'mal contain fabricated hadith? To my knowledge, no. Right, it doesn't contain any fabricated hadith. The thing you have to remember is, this whole concept of usul hadith. When someone says, for example, like this hadith is fabricated, sometimes a scholar might say a particular hadith is fabricated. That's his own personal research. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the opinion of everyone, of all the scholars. And this is a very well-known thing. Those of you guys who have studied usul hadith, and inshallah I'm going to be doing a series on usul hadith in detail, inshallah, covering all the major topics of usul hadith. And the aim is I want people to understand what the whole concept of usul hadith is, from beginners level, intermediate, advanced level, and maybe cover some texts as well. And so a person can actually go and research for themselves to find out the verification of a hadith, right? So sometimes we have to rely upon some other scholars saying that this hadith is da'if, or it's strong, or it's authentic, or it's fabricated. So that's what I do with my students when I teach them generally usul hadith. That's the kind of thing that I get them to do. I teach them usul hadith. We go through several tiers of books, and then we apply it so that when they look at a hadith, they'll know exactly which books to reference to find out the verification of the hadith. So the thing is, if someone does say, for example, this particular hadith in Fadail Amal is fabricated, that doesn't necessarily mean that all the hadith or everyone agrees on its fabrication. No, because, like, for example, there's a famous book called Al-Mawdu'at al-Kubra by Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, who was a scholar in the 500s, and he has declared about 11 hadith in Sahih Muslim to be fabricated, or even very da'if. But that's not the case. Scholars have done a rebuttal against him, and they've responded to that, and they've said that he's made a mistake, and that's fine. He's human error occurs. So To my knowledge, Fadail Amal does not contain any unanimously agreed upon fabricated hadith. And if it does, then show me, and inshallah I can research it. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, so this was a question that someone asked before. So it was a question someone asked before. Now I have to go and find out what the original question was. So, second. If you find a woman attractive, then lower your gaze and move on. Subhanallah. This needs to be printed and distributed to every house in the subcontinent. May Allah Ta'ala bless you. All your answers. Alhamdulillah. Got it. Okay. If someone... Okay, but if a woman is unattractive, is that still okay to continue to look? Does this go for women too? Meaning that if she finds the man attractive, she can look? Yes. I mean, the rule in the Quran is very straightforward, which is basically, lower your gazes. Right. If there is a feeling of lust, if you feel that you're going to be attracted towards them sexually, then lower your gaze. Simple as that. And everyone knows in their heart if they do feel attracted to someone. That's the kind of rule basically. Okay. All right. Where's the questions gone? So as you can see, can you guys see her? Yeah. Let me just show you her. Yeah, that's her basically. Chilling out, listening to question and answers. This is her first question and answer. This is. Okay. If someone is not allowed to come out of their school as a teacher and cannot make a Jummah of Jummahs in school, can they pray Dhuhr? Yes, they can pray Dhuhr. Yeah, they're allowed to pray Dhuhr. So in other words, if a person is genuinely unable to pray Jummah because of work or because of anything else and they're not letting them, then they can do Dhuhr, right? So that's an excuse. But if a person is capable, so they do get an opportunity or their break does coincide with, what I would suggest is, look, if there are teachers or there are certain people who cannot get to a Jummah, what I would say, and it's a very regular thing for them, try to get some people together and do your own Jummah. Yeah, try to do your own Jummah. That should be permissible as well. Is taqyid al-mubah permitted when not allowing child marriages? Why would or wouldn't it? So taqyid al-mubah basically means is that in Islam, if there is something which is it's enough for you guys seeing her, right? You guys can see me. So taqyid al-mubah basically means that something which is permitted in Islam, but people are restricting. Scholars put some restrictions on there to say that this thing is not allowed. So for example, like maybe I don't know, maybe wearing certain type of clothing might be permissible, but then scholars might say no, in a particular circumstance, in a particular situation, maybe if that clothing is something which is causing people to have like gang violence, right? So some gangs wear certain types of clothing which indicate that they're superiority over other people, then that could be a reason for why scholars would say wearing that particular clothing is not allowed. For instance, I'm just giving an example there. Or maybe there's certain type of food that a person eats that although it's permissible to eat itself, it can lead to other harms, right? So like certain types of poisonous food, poisonous fish, or toxic that can become toxic. So that is permissible. But however, if there are some reasons, so for example, child marriages, I think the question is asking whether an adult can marry a child. So in Islam, an adult can marry a child, but they can't consummate the marriage until the child reaches over the age of puberty. But if in a society it was something that was causing problems, right, then in that case, then the scholars can put a ruling and say it's not allowed. Now, what does that mean? It would mean that in the courts it would not be permitted. Morally, meaning that in the eyes of Allah it may be allowed, as in they might allow it, but in the courts it wouldn't be allowed. So sometimes this happens at some countries. They don't allow a man to marry another wife unless he gets permission from his first wife. So although a man does not need to get permission from the first wife to get married to another wife, but if the government sees that, look, men are abusing this right, and they're going around and marrying women secretly, and they're causing problems in the society, and when their wives find out, it breaks the family and etc. Then scholars can put restrictions on there, and then the courts can step in. This is where it becomes enforced. Okay, so that's that. If someone is praying seated in nafal and they suffice on head movements, an excuse, or should they do the prostration? So if someone is seated, they don't need to prostrate. In nafal, if they are seated and they cannot move, right? If they're seated, they have to prostrate. But if they're seated, like let's say you're driving in a car, you can pray sitting down. And if you can't do sajda, then you can do ishara, indication. Okay. Is it wajib to pray quietly in the third and fourth rakat of a fard salah? No, it's not wajib to pray quietly. According to Hanafis, in the third and fourth rakat of the fard, of a fard salah, you don't have to recite anything. This is according to Hanafis. Okay, but according to the other scholars, then you have to recite something. Is it necessary to do qada of salah one has missed for years after repentance? Yes, according to Hanafis, you would have to. This is basically an usuli issue, an usul fiqh point, which stems from a masala, which is that why does the qada become necessary upon us? It's a very long discussion, but those of you guys who have studied usul fiqh would know, for example, like why do I have to pray my dhuhr? I have to pray my dhuhr because the command of Allah, aqimus salat, applies to me. So pray your salat. Why do I have to pray my asr? Because the command of Allah applies. Why do I have to pray my fajr? Because the command of Allah applies. Now, why, if I miss my fajr, why do I have to make up the qada? So the majority of the Hanafis, they say that it's basically because the same reason for why you had to pray the fajr in the first place still applies to you, so long as you haven't prayed the salat. So long as you haven't prayed it, whether it's on time or out of time, it's still on your shoulders, basically, right? So they say that the cause is the same cause, really. So that's that. So this is why they say that. I know that Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah has a position that you don't have to make them up, and one of his reasons says that if a person for 10-15 years deliberately was not praying salat, they have to make them up, is simply because he says that they left the fold of Islam. By deliberately not praying, they left the fold of Islam. This was his opinion. It's a fringe opinion that's taken by some scholars based on a particular type of interpretation of a hadith. The Prophet ﷺ says that the one who deliberately leaves salat has left Islam, has done kufr. But this is not the majority opinion. So that's why, that's that. Okay, if someone joins salah and says the full takbir before the imam finishes the wa rahmatullah of the first salam, is he part of the prayer? Possibly. I mean, one way you can look at it, you can say as soon as he says assalamu alaikum, salat's over. One way you can say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, so it's possibly. I mean, if he's unsure, he just considers himself in salat. If the current salah of someone is on deathbed due on, is the current salah of someone on his deathbed due on him? So if he's in a state where he is conscious, so he's conscious and he's able to know what's happening around him and his faculties are working, then yes, he is mukallaf and he has to pray salat. And if he dies, however, and didn't have chance to do qada, then it drops from him. Okay. Do marriage witnesses have to be witnesses by will? E.g., if someone gets married in public and makes two random people present with, no, he doesn't have to. Anyone, as long as there's people who qualify for witnessing that are present, it's sufficient. Yeah, they can be present. Anyone can be. But generally, I mean, when I, for example, go and do a nikah or something, there's just like a form that they fill in, and it has who's the first witness, who's the second witness. That's just for like formalities. But generally, everyone there is a witness. So if there's 50 people there are 50 witnesses you've got. So everyone becomes a witness. Witness simply means someone who was present and heard it. So you don't need like formal witnesses on that. Okay, if someone enters a competition and pays to enter and the winner of the competition gets a prize, is it permitted? So it's permitted if the prize money is not from the entry money. So the money used to enter the competition, as long as the prize money is not from there and it's external, so a third person has given the money, then it's allowed. So for example, let's say I have a football team, I enter a competition and you enter a competition, and we all give £100 each, so £200 for the competition. But the money given for the prize is given from an external source, something else, not from this money. This money goes towards paying the referee and paying for the stadium and paying other things, whatever. Then it's permissible. But if the money, right, if the winnings are from the money that was used to enter the competition, then it's not allowed. Should one prioritize qada salats over sunnah muakkada salat? This is a good question. If a person has many missed salats, should they prioritize? Some scholars say yes, they should prioritize the qadas and make them up instead of praying the sunnahs. So in place of the sunnahs, you do the qadas that you missed. Others say that no, you should try to do the sunnahs and do the qada separately. What I would say is, look at your situation. If you have many qada salats to make up and you're finding it burdensome to pray the sunnahs and the qadas, then pray the qadas. How should we feel about the fatwa system and mufta bihi opinions? Okay, so this is a good question. For those of you guys who don't know this, I'll just give it a little background. So, for instance, if a particular person or madhab, for instance, has a fatwa, how does that fatwa become like binding upon someone? So technically, fatwas are not binding on anyone, right? Fatwas are not binding. Sharia is binding upon everyone. Fatwas are not binding upon anyone. However, what the scholars do say is that everyone should fall back or rely upon solid research. So solid research of an expert we should rely on. We shouldn't do our own cowboy research. So we should rely upon the solid expertise of a particular expert, and whatever his answer is, we should kind of like make it necessary upon ourselves to follow that. Now this goes into the discussion of following a madhab, and if you guys have seen my crash course that I've done recently on the madhabs, I've done part 1 and inshallah we're doing part 2 soon as well. So I mentioned in there about this idea of how madhabs came about, and then I'll be talking about this idea of adhering to a madhab, the importance of adhering to a madhab, and why scholars say that this is something important. One of the things is the official view, the official opinion adopted by a madhab. So for example, like let's say in the Hanafi madhab, many of you guys might not be aware, but sometimes you might have 5, 6, 7 opinions about a particular issue, right? So for instance, like the masala with regards to, does a woman have to open her plaits of her hair? Does she have to wash her entire hair when she takes a bath? Right, so she's in a state of major impurity. Does she have to open her entire hair, or is it sufficient for her just to wet her scalp and she can keep the rest of her hair all dry? So there's 3 major opinions in the Hanafi school regarding this. Like one of the opinions is that she doesn't have to open the plaits, right, but she has to wet the entire hair. Another opinion is that if she is in menstruation, if her plaits are tied, then she only has to wash her scalp, but if her hair is open, then she has to wash the entire hair. And the third opinion is that she only has to wash the scalp of the hair and the rest of the hair doesn't have to be washed. Like her entire hair can be kept dry, and all she has to do is get water into the scalp. So, I mean, which opinion now is the official opinion that's taken? In reality, this concept of the mufta bihi opinion, right, was something which was changing over the years, right? So scholars from the beginning of the Hanafi school, in the middle, in the latter part of the Hanafi school, you have various approaches in how fatwa is given. In other words, how you choose an opinion, how you give preference to it. So this is why this idea of the mufta bihi, everything having an official position, this is something which is debated in the Hanafi school itself. So I just gave you a little insight into how it works, and going into more details would require me to spend more time on that. Hopefully, inshallah, in the crash course, I should be able to explain that in better detail with my drawing, as some of you guys have said, helps you a lot. Yeah, and visual, a lot of guys, if you're a visual learner, put in the comments. Yeah, if you're a visual learner, yeah, I think a lot of people are visual learners. Some people are audible learners. Yeah, or is it audio learners? Audible learners? One of those. Okay, next. Is it okay? Assalamu alaikum. Is it permissible to surgically remove? Now, this word I find it difficult to pronounce. Gynecomastia. I think I've said it probably wrong. Yeah, I've added extra syllables. Gynecomastia. You can Google it yourselves. So basically, this is a condition where men begin to develop kind of like breasts, right? They develop breasts. You know, some people call them man boobs or something, whatever. So can a person surgically remove these? So if they are causing them harm and if they are causing them low self-esteem, then there's scope to remove it. Yeah. Can a man give azan or iqama quietly? The idea of azan is to make the people aware. But if you do give it quietly, it's done. But the idea was to give the adhan and the iqama aloud so that people can become aware that salat time has started and that congregation is going to start soon. If someone prays Fajr Qadha and does adhan, should they include tathweeb? I mean, yes, we would expect that, because if you're doing the Qadha, in the Qadha, the Hanafis say you do exactly the same thing that you would do in Ada. Right, so you would mention it. If someone prays Dhuhr Qadha in Maghrib time, can they pray aloud? Okay, so technically no, right? Because the Qadha, the Hanafis say there's two things that, like Imam Hidayah says, there's two things which necessitate reciting aloud. One is Jama'ah and one is the time, like night prayers. So because Dhuhr is not a night prayer itself, although it's the congregation, this is why you read it quietly. Although there are some that would disagree and say if it's prayed at night, because there is the night involved, then therefore. However, the usuli point here would be that Dhuhr Salat, when it was missed, because it was missed and it's at the time it was missed, that what we call wujub al-ada was in a state that it should have been recited quietly. Therefore, it's better to recite it quietly. Okay. Okay, next. In Salah, should the rules of recitation be according to one's madhab or the rules of the qira'ah one is reciting in? I don't understand that one. Like, what does it mean? How can the rules be according to one madhab? So if you give me an example of that, I can explain. Can you wipe over cotton socks for wudu? According to Hanafi scholars, according to the tradition Hanafi scholars, no, you can't. Because they would be thin, and the two main things that are necessary in wiping over socks is they cover the entire foot over the ankles, and you can walk in them a long distance. Yeah, you're able to walk in them a long distance without them tearing. So that's why, no, you wouldn't be able to. However, there are some scholars, like recently, who have said that, have raised this discussion again, and actually have questioned the whole concept of footwear in historically, what footwear is. And Sheikh Salman Yunus, he's written a paper on this. It's about 30 pages paper on this whole concept of modern socks, wiping of modern socks in the light of early Hanafi texts. So I think it's available online, and if it's not, contact him, ask him, and he'll probably let you know. Okay, Salam. I was not circumcised when I was a baby boy, and I was weak and as a youngster, but now I'm fine. I'm 27 and about to marry. Do I need to get circumcised as an adult? I fear the complication of adult circumcision and unsure if it's fard. Okay, so circumcision is not fard for men. It's considered sunnah mu'akkada. A person should try to have it done. If they can't get it done, they fear the pain or they fear some other complications, then they don't have to get it done. But what I would suggest is contact your doctor, speak to your doctor about it. And sometimes we have some fear about certain things, and it can easily be dispelled with some expert help. So I think that would. Okay. Right. That's it. Khalas. Those questions are done now. Now, Cat has gone to sleep, as you guys can see. Yeah, Catty has gone to sleep. And she's been listening to the questions, and Hanafi question and answers basically put my pets to sleep. So she's gone to sleep now. All right, so now I'll answer your guys' questions that you guys have. So let's start from the top. She's knocked out. Okay, so let's look at the questions. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah Firaz. I also heard that the Prophet ﷺ used to have a cat. Well, he didn't have a cat, but cats. He was very gentle with animals. By the way, do you need to go to the vet for your cat? No, at the moment we don't have to go to the vet. But if something does happen, then we'll have to take the cat to the vet. There has been recently controversy about Gog and Magog. What is the hadith about them being in the mountains? And is this hadith sahih? Is it part of our aqidah to believe they exist right now? Okay, this is a good question. I haven't really been keeping up to date with what's happening. I mean, I've been, since I've started with my YouTube channel again, and with the patrons, mashallah, support, and me busy with trying to put up videos almost every day. I've been bogged down, right? So alhamdulillah, I mean, past month I've also hired someone for the editing of the videos. So this is why the videos that are coming out now, or the Quran series videos and Sahaba one, that's more edited now, right? So there's going to be a few more coming out inshallah as well. So a bit of the work I've shifted onto someone else as well. But the other things I'm doing myself as well. So a lot of the other things. So this is why I'm still very busy, and this is why I hardly get time to read things on my Facebook or my Twitter. I just try to come on now and again, alhamdulillah. With you guys, mashallah, I read nearly every single one of your comments. If I don't get a chance to comment or reply there and then, I try to comment or reply a bit later on. But alhamdulillah, I really appreciate your guys' comments. Sometimes some of your comments make me laugh, some of them make me smile, and some of them just make me think, oh my God, what's happening here? So Gog and Magog. So basically, see in the Quran, there's two places where the Gog and Magog are mentioned. Right? One is in Surah, I think it's Anbiya, and one is in Surah Kahf. Surah Kahf gives the more detailed, exact kind of like background, where there was a kind of ruler. His name was Dhul Qarnayn. And Zulqarnain, basically, he comes to this place, and this place complains to him, and they say to him that, please, can you help us, defeat Gog and Magog, build us some sort of a barrier and wall, so that they can't get to us, because they pillage and they raid our villages, and they kind of destroy us. So he says, okay, I'll build a wall. So he starts to build this wall, and he's got this like advanced technology or advanced understanding of how to erect walls, strong walls. He gets their help. They build this wall out of iron and molten metal, and so they build this massive kind of, like, you can say, a barrier between this village and between the access for the Gog and Magog, Ya'juj, Ma'juj. And then he says this wall is going to be here, but it's a mercy from my Lord, and a time will come when it will be crushed, right? Indicating that they'll be released and they'll come out. And then you have some narrations now. So some narrations mention, like, there are many fabricated narrations, there are many weak narrations about them, but we have some authentic narrations in Sahih Bukhari and other books, where the Prophet ﷺ, he woke up one day in a sweat, and he said that woe be to the Arabs, the time has almost come for the Ya'juj Ma'juj to leave, like, this wall that they're behind, to leave it. And so it's like, now what does all of this mean then? So Ya'juj and Ma'juj seem to be real beings. They seem to be real beings. Okay. So some people have said they are some sort of other creature, subhuman creature, or some other form of hominoid creature. Some have said no, they're actually humans. They are actually the indigenous people of the lands of Russia and Mongolia, China, those areas, ancient ones. So the people that used to live there. So this was an opinion that was by Sheikh Anwar Shah Kashmiri, and he said basically that when the story of Zulqarnain was mentioned, these people were very barbaric people. And when people are very barbaric, what tends to happen is that they are very harsh in how they do things. And so after, when the wall was built, what seems to have happened was that they became more civilized after time. And if the wall crushes down, it doesn't mean that they'll come out again and start pillaging everything and raiding. It means that they're now able to travel and roam around places that they didn't have access to before. And so that's, he says, basically it refers to the Caucasians and it refers to the Mongols, right? It refers to them. And he kind of like historically, he shows historically how a lot of the genocide that was committed historically was from these two types of ethnicities, right, backgrounds. A lot of the sort of like, we even see this in the 19th century or the 20th century. A lot of the genocide that was committed, the murders in the millions basically, was committed by these kind of people, throwing the atom bomb and slaughtering, gas chambering people, and the Genghis Khan and all that. But the thing about the Mongols is that afterwards, after 100 years, they accepted Islam, right? So they all become good people, civilized people. So this is why it's very strange. How do we approach this hadith? So some people have taken the opinion that they are still behind the wall, and the opening of the wall is a sign of the Day of Judgment, meaning that it's something that's going to happen right in the future, around the time of the appearance of the Dajjal, etc. That's the kind of time scale that they're looking at. But the Sheikh Anwar Shah Kashmiri's opinion is basically they've been released anyway. After the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were released, and their release was not that they were going to destroy and eat up everything on earth. It was that they were going to just move and transmigrate across the globe, and this is basically what happened to these people. So we can see like Europeans went across the world. They went to the Americas, and then they went to Australia, and then you had Mongols. They spread all across. They destroyed so much of the Muslim civilization. So these are two opinions that I've mentioned to you, right? Two opinions of the scholars of the past. So now, we have to believe that there is something out there called the Ya'juj Ma'juj. If we deny this, we're denying something in the Quran. So we have to exist that there is something that existed in an early time when the Quran was revealed. There was something known as Ya'juj Ma'juj that existed. Do we have to believe that it's still around? Right? That will not be kufr. If a person did not believe it, it would not be kufr. However, it would be deviation from the mainstream of Muslims. And the thing we have to remember is a lot of the things that are mentioned to us in hadith about the future times, when they were explained to people, they were explained to them according to their language, according to their understanding of how things work in the universe. And as time develops, the more we kind of understand new technologies and new breakthroughs, we don't get to see those things manifest in a miraculous way. We see them manifest in a normal way. So the advent of the phone, or the advent of long distance communication, or satellites, or people traveling into space, in the past, if it was explained to people according to their understanding and their language, it would have sounded miraculous. That imagine you say to someone, yeah, there's a time's going to come when a person on one side of the earth can speak to another person on the other side of the earth as though they can see them. People would say, oh, that's magic, that's something extraordinary. But now when you look at it, it's not extraordinary, because we understand the workings behind it. We understand how long distance communication works. It works through satellites, it works through signals, etc. Yeah, so hope that answers the questions. Okay, how much is the vet for the cat? I'm not sure. It depends on what treatment you go for. What about Assad? Assad. What are you on about, bro? What you been smoking, bro? Assad. Clarify it. You can call her Doremi. What does Doremi mean? White spot on the back. I can't see it. A heart. Yeah, it's got this white thing on the back, like one of those fashion kind of white streaks that people put in their hair. Okay, is organ and blood donation jaiz? Blood donation, majority of scholars accept it. It's allowed. Organ donation is something new. What I would suggest is, if you read the fatwa of Mufti Zubair Butt, I agree with that fatwa, and I think it's totally practical for today's times. Yeah, so have a check out, Google it, say Mufti Zubair Butt organ transplant, and you'll find the fatwa. Umran, wa alaikum assalam. Umran Sahiba. Okay, Yamna. Hira sounds nice. Hira, yeah. Hira, okay. Yeah, Hira, like Mount Hira. Or Hira. Hira or Hira. Yeah, Hira. Umran, I am very well, thank you very much. How are you? How is everything where you are in the world? Angela, Sophie is a good name. Sophie, yeah. I have a cousin called Sophie. So sometimes, in families you don't want to have two names, two people with the same name. She's adorable. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Wa alaikum assalam, Kamran. Also, any hair care tips? My hair, yeah. I mean, you guys can't see my hair, but my hair is proper greasy. Yeah, it needs a proper wash. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't really kind of do too much with it. I just put some oils in there sometimes, and I just wash it maybe like once a week or once. I mean, I wash it regularly, but I wash it once or maybe once a week or once every fortnight with tea gel. Have you guys heard of tea gel shampoo? Because I have a lot of dandruff issues. I don't know why. It's just my scalp is like that, so it helps me a lot. Because I tried so many products on my hair, and head and shoulders is the worst thing for my hair. I don't know. Any of you guys ever tried Head and Shoulders? Does it work for you guys? Okay. Can your personality and temperament be a valid factor when declining which fiqh, opinion, scholar, school, or thought to follow? Yeah, definitely. Decide. Yeah, I mean, sometimes something you're more inclined towards a certain fiqh. Yeah. The thing about, I mean, I personally think a lot of people don't understand a lot of the workings of fiqh and the background to fiqh and context of fiqh and madhahib and these kind of. That's why I want to make a series on this. Inshallah, many of you guys know that in the past I've done whole courses on evolution of fiqh. I'm also writing I was writing a book on evolution of fiqh, and I reached volume 4 basically. I reached. So what I might do is I might pull up those notes again, and I might do a whole series, a long series on my YouTube channel, going through the entire concept of fiqh from scratch, from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, how it all developed and how the Sahaba saw fiqh and how they saw the concept of a madhab and what is the value of a madhab and do we need madhabs and can people pick and choose and all these kind of things, which inshallah hopefully I'll cover. But yes, I mean, I personally think that if a person should follow the madhab, that they can study themselves. General people do not follow a madhab. Like the general masses do not follow a madhab. What they follow is the opinions of an expert that they ask questions to. So if someone asks me questions, let's say, they are following me. I mean, the reason why they don't follow a madhab because they don't know how a madhab works. Right? To them, a madhab, they don't know the usul of the madhab. They don't know why that madhab uses a particular approach over another approach. So they're not really following a madhab, they're following a particular scholar. Okay, when there's a difference between, yes, but if there's someone who has studied a bit of fiqh, understands, it's possible to be able to choose that. Yamna Baji with the high level questions, definitely. Very good questions, very excellent questions. Can you explain the rule of stepping in building and which foot? Stepping in a building and which foot? I don't understand that question. Do you mean entering a masjid? The cat is a proper adorable. Yeah, Jazakallah khair. I think she's now sleeping here. Yeah, she's like proper stretched out, right? She's stretched out on me. I don't know. I don't want to move too much because it might just wake her up or something. But if you guys have a look, yeah, that's her. Yeah, knocked out. Yeah, she dozes off. I mean, when we first got her, she was just jumping on the sofa. She was quiet, hidden under the sofa. And then after one day, it hasn't been 24 hours, she's jumping on sofas, jumping on shoulders. Yeah, and she runs after hands. She likes hands and she likes anything that moves. Yeah, now look at her. That's her, that is. Yeah, knocked out all throughout this session. So that's what happens. So anyway, let's check out some more of your questions. You're not a pets person yet. Oh, come on, man. You have to like cats. It is small. MashaAllah. Can you provide her information? Yes, inshallah, in the description I'll put the sister's information. Is it a sin if you have a wet dream? Is sin or haram? No. In your sleep, anything you do in your sleep will never be a sin. The Prophet ﷺ said that rufi an ummati al-khata wa nisyan. Mistakes and forgetfulness, accident and mistakes, like accidents and forgetfulness will never be held for sin. And also another hadith, he says that a person, when he's asleep, he won't be held responsible until he wakes up. So this is why, no, in your sleep, you can't control what you see, your thoughts, everything, your dreams. You won't be held responsible for it. Can you recommend any book about the etymology of Arabic letters and their meanings? Yes. I mean, do you know Arabic, or is it English? If you check my YouTube channel, I've done a whole series on the root words of many root words of the Quran. Check that out. Okay, Sherry the Flash. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Can you please show your library? Oh no, you're another library lover. Okay, I'll try to just show a book. I can't show everything because I can't move the computer around. But it's the one behind me. I mean, if you want me to show you a book or something. Okay, Hyperbaji on Twitter. Yes, that's the one. So can you give me some more examples of passive verbs like qatala? Yeah. So passive verbs, you mean past ones, yeah? Past passive. So past passive verbs in Arabic is basically a verb which you do not mention who is doing the action. So for example, in English we say the book was written, so the food was eaten, the water was spilt, the door was opened. So in other words, all of these wases, right, you don't know who does them. This is known as a passive verb. And in Arabic you have the same concept as well, and it follows a particular pattern. Like qutila, it means he was killed. Who killed him? We don't know. Duriba, he was struck. Yeah, sumi'a, it was heard. Quri'a, it was recited. They follow a specific pattern for that. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Dimi Hussein. Can you explain why not all verbs can be passive? I mean, technically, if you study sarf, all verbs can be theoretically passive, but not all verbs can be passive. It's like English, for example, like if you say a word like, for example, ran, he ran. Like, you can't say he was run. Yeah, he was run. I mean, that doesn't make sense. What other word is there? He woke up. Yeah. So he was woke. You can't say stuff like that because it doesn't make sense. So some verbs can only have a passive meaning if they're able to have a subject and an object in normal conditions. Yeah, that's the easiest way I can say. But otherwise, just think about it in English. There's many verbs that you cannot have a passive. You can't say was for everything. Hope that makes sense. Okay. Contact Hyperbaji on Twitter. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's Sister Amina. She's supposed to be here today, but I don't know. Inshallah. Okay, next question. Bint Imran. Walaikum salam. What is the difference between Maturidiyya and Ash'ari Aqidah? Okay, so I mean, I've mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. So basically, like, you know, when you have hadith, right? Fiqh is like the logical mapping of hadith. Yeah, so you have hadith is like the raw material. Imagine, like, you know, you want to build a sofa, so you have raw material like wood and you have fabric. So this is the raw material to build it. So fiqh is like the carpenter who knows exactly how to put all the pieces of wood together and wrap the fabric around it. Okay. The aqidah is like hadith. So the aqidah is from the Quran and the hadith. But then the logical sort of like reasonings for aqidah, This is known as ilmul kalam. So for example, like we say Allah is one, okay, or Allah has many attributes, or we say that the Quran is the speech of God, Allah, or we say that the day of judgment is going to come. But what's the logic? Like how can we explain it to a non-Muslim that Allah is one? Like how would you logically explain to them? How would you logically explain to a non-Muslim that angels exist? How would you explain it to a non-Muslim that there is the day of judgment and we're going to be questioned? How would you logically explain it? So that logical sort of like approach that you come out with is known as ilmul kalam. So there were like two main sort of schools that developed from this. One was the Ash'ari school by Abu Hasan Ash'ari. He developed this logical way of, like nowadays we have many questions, like for example, some of you guys asked about Ya'juj Ma'juj. So in other words, we have the raw materials of Ya'juj Ma'juj, but the logical sort of like how do you explain it in today's modern day would require some sort of ability of a person to be able to discuss it at a rational level. Or for example, the idea of did humans form from evolution or not? So whatever answer you give, you have to have some sort of a logical sort of approach of how you deal with the texts, right? So this is known as ilmul kalam. So Abu Hasan Ash'ari, he developed a method of rational approach of Aqidah. So he doesn't like deny the whole ayats and the hadith of Aqidah. No, he bases his entire mapping of Aqidah on this. And Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, he has very similar. There's only about 12 or 13 issues that they differ on. 12 or 13 issues that they two differ on, but everything else is the same, right? So yeah, that's basically ilmul kalam there. So that's the only differences. Like an average Muslim does not need to know the rationale behind Aqidah. They just have to believe Allah is one. They don't have to question how is Allah one, explain the oneness of Allah. Why can't Trinity be one? Like why can't the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit be considered to be one? What's the logical? What is the correct way to pray with witr salah? Can you pray 3 rakats in one go? According to Hanafis, no, you can't pray 3 rakats in one go. According to Hanafis, you pray 2 rakats, you sit, and then you get up and you pray another rakat, so you got 3, and then you give salam at the end. Right, that's the Hanafi way. Other madhabs have slightly different ways. Haji, mashallah, haven't seen you in a long time. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Are you in a good state? Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for asking. Do you have some live classes going? One can jump in. No, unfortunately, I don't have any live classes at the moment. But I mean, like I mentioned, in the future, hopefully, I do plan to have something, but not at the moment. I'm just been too busy with things. Okay, Sister Yamna, if someone is in a busy street far away from home during Salat time and they find no private place to pray, are they morally obligated to pray on the street or walk into a stranger's building? I mean, yeah, so a good question this is. So if you are in a situation where your Salat time comes and there's no way of delaying it, right? What do you do in that situation? I would only see this in like something like a prayer, like Maghrib maybe, where you're restricted to the amount of time that you have, maybe like half an hour, 40 minutes to pray. So I would say you pray in whatever situation that you're in. So if you cannot pray, let's say you're in a busy street and there's no way at all, what I would suggest, if you're in the city centre, try to find a shop, a clothes shop where they have changing rooms and pray there. If you're in another place, maybe you can ask a shopkeeper, is it okay if I just pray on the side here? Sometimes you might be embarrassed praying in front of everyone. If you are embarrassed and you feel that someone's going to attack you or something, you can sit down and pray with ishara and then later on make up qadha for that. Scholars have mentioned these kind of things. Yeah, so always try to aspire to pray your salat on time in the correct manner. If you are in a situation where you find it very difficult, then you can adopt one of the dispensations. In the last rakat in the witr, when you say the dua qunut and go into ruku, do you say Allahu Akbar as normal? Yes, you say Allahu Akbar as normal. And ask to use this place. Mufti said, the cat is too cute, it's distracting from the dars. Yeah, I know. You can't see now. Alhamdulillah, it's hidden. Yeah, it's undercover. Okay. Can you read one rakat for witr? According to Hanafis, no, you can't. Can't read one rakat on its own. Yeah, you have to read rakats with others. And according to other schools, one rakat is possible. Can you read one rakat witr? Subhanallah wa alaikum assalam. Hinna. If Sayyid, if someone does qahqaha in final sitting before salam, does the prayer need to be repeated? Only thing left was salam. Not really. Yeah, because according to Sahibain, they say that the shahud is necessary, and according to one opinion, as reported from or understood from Imam Abu Hanifa, that qahqaha is a deliberate action that takes you out of salat, so your salat would be valid. Yeah, so yeah, salat will be done as long as it's done after the shahud. Salam, how much is the vet for the cat? I don't know how much the cat's vet is for. It all depends upon where you live and which vet you go to and what treatment you want. Are women allowed to pray in public when they are out, for example? Yes, of course, allowed to pray. Can Sahibain's opinion be given preference to Imam Abu Hanifa's, even though Shami and Alamgiri cite Imam Abu Hanifa as being the muftabihi? Yeah, there's a whole basically like a theory behind this, and there's actually a good book by Dr. Saeed Bakdash. It's called Takween al I think it's called Takween al-Madhab al-Hanafi, something like that. Takween al-Madhab al-Hanafi. So in there he mentions 15 different approaches of how in the Hanafi school we take fatwa. Like, is it if the Sahibain on one side? Is it if Abu Hanifa is with Abu Yusuf? Is it, look at the strength of the dalil? What do you look at? So there's 15 different approaches. So I mean, I wouldn't be able to give an answer in one go. But this whole idea of Abu Hanifa's opinion is the opinion that's always taken, isn't necessarily agreed upon by the later scholars. We see it in, for example, like Imam Tahawi, the early Mutun, Quduri, and these books seem to give preference to Abu Hanifa's opinions, but not all the time. In many cases, opinion of Abu Yusuf and others are taken as well. What I would suggest for this kind of thing is you need to study, for example, like Hidayah, and you need to study like Uqud Rasul Mufti, to have a better understanding of this. And this is what I teach in when I do Iftar course. So the Iftar course that I do, or introduction to Iftar course, this is what we go through. We go through this and we discuss these different approaches, and we look at examples in fiqh of how Hanafis in the past have actually diverged from Abu Hanifa's opinion. There's actually a good book. It's called Udul and Zahir Riwayah by Sheikh Lu'ay Abul Khalil. Yeah, Sheikh Lu'ay. He's a Jordanian. Very, very, very useful. It's very it's quite self-explanatory as well. You can read it yourself. A visual and hands-on person. Exactly, yeah. And me too as well. Is it necessary to remain quiet and respond to an adhan that is recited at a distance such that you don't clearly hear the words but know the adhan is being... no, you wouldn't have to. As long as you hear, you know what's being said, then you repeat. Please help me out. How can parents to get me a hamster? Okay, guys, help fun out. How can we stay motivated when learning Arabic? I would say the thing that should motivate you is why you're doing it for. So, for example, like when I was studying Arabic, I was doing Arabic because I wanted to understand how I could read the major Hanafi books myself. Or how could I read them? Or how could I read the Hadith books? That's one thing I really want to understand. Or how could I read the Tafsir books? Or how could I read the Aqidah books? This is what I wanted. I wanted to be able to read these major works, classical works, on my own. So, alhamdulillah, I kept on persevering and I kept that in my mind, and then eventually that's the thing that kind of pushed me all the way. So what do you want? Like, what is the thing that you want to do? Because if your motivation is simply just to learn Arabic rules, that's not a motivation. That's like a short-term goal. What's your main goal? What's your higher... What do you really want? And how much have you achieved it? So what you can do, let's say your motivation is to learn the Quran. You can make yourself a chart and break it down. There's actually, a very good... There's a guy on YouTube. It's called Josh Kaufman. And he teaches you how to learn things. And one of the things that he teaches you, he says, before you learn anything, first of all, find out all the information about it. Right? So for example, let's say you wanted to learn usul hadith, for instance, and you haven't studied much before, you know a little bit. You go to someone who knows usul hadith and say to them, look, what am I supposed to be looking for in usul hadith? What is my goal? And write that down. And then ask them, okay, what should I be focusing on when I'm studying it? Like, what are the kind of things? And then you ask them things like what are the short-term goals? So once you have that mapped out, when you're studying it, you know what to focus on, right? You know, okay, you know, this kind of this particular sort of like extra commentary, I don't need to know that. I can find that in the books. What I need to know is how we get this, how we decide hadith is acceptable or non-acceptable, etc. That's why you need a long-term goal and you need a broken down goals. Okay, hope that helps. MP, wa alaikum assalam. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Yeah, subhanallah. You're not feeling well. What is it? Is it cold, flu? Is it something worse? Everyone make dua for MP. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her shifa, kamil, ajil. Okay. Arabic Hafiz Shu'aib. Does one become sinful if he does an action that is against the law of a non-Muslim country but not a sin in Islam, like polygamy in the UK? Yes, no. No, he wouldn't become sinful. It wouldn't be counted as sinful. It would just mean that in the law of the land he's done wrong, that's all. Unless he's signed an agreement that he will not. So if he signs an agreement to say he will not break the law or he will not do polygamy, then he'll be counted as sinful because he's going against his own promise. Okay, if you forget to make a sajda sahu and finish the prayer, should we repeat the prayer again? So Hanafis basically says two opinions in Hanafis. One opinion is that if there's time left, you must repeat the prayer again. But if there is no time left, if the time is expired, then you don't repeat it again, just ask Allah forgiveness. Yeah, what I would say is make it up. Salam Muhammad wa alaikum assalam. I find that I have iman as I want to live well in a Muslim society versus true belief. I've also been struggling with Riyah and feel as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left me. How can I improve? Very, very difficult question. Very difficult to answer. We all suffer from this. May Allah forgive me. I sometimes, feel as though I am showing off in certain things I have as well, and doing Riyah. I think everyone suffers from this. What should we do? That's what Islam is about. Islam is about persevering. You try your best. You worked hard. You always try to think of what you need to achieve. Right? Always think of what you want to achieve. What is your aim? Have yourself goals. I keep myself very, very busy. Those of you guys who know me, sometimes I might respond to a message or a WhatsApp message even after 2 or 3 days, because I'm so busy. I get so many messages, and I have a schedule, a very strict schedule of how I follow things. And if I move away from that schedule, what tends to happen with me is I can't get things done properly. I'm not productive. So I have to be very strict with my schedule. So what I find is that if you have your schedule and you follow your schedule in a very good way, that's my own personal thing. Maybe for you it might be different. It kind of gives you motivation to carry on doing things. Yeah, you become inspired. I listen to Quran a lot. That's one thing I found in the past. I've started doing that for about 1.5 years now. And alhamdulillah, it's changed a lot of things in my life. Just listening to Quran, and I understand Quran as well. And it has had a big impact on me. Like sometimes I'll be in a situation, an ayah of the Quran will come to mind, like the meaning of an ayah will just pop into mind. And then that will be the thing that will motivate me to do something. So I think the Quran should be the main thing in our lives. Always kind of like try and read Quran, understand the meaning of Quran. So inshallah, struggle. Everyone's going to struggle. Allah does not leave anyone at all. It's just that we become distant from Allah. Yeah, we become distant from Allah, and the problem lies in us trying to achieve. So you need to have goals in your life. What do you want to achieve? Like for example, from now until December, what do you want to achieve in your life? It could be work. It could be something related to specifically like studying or religious sort of like issues. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve this time next year? What do you want to achieve this time in 5 years' time? Have yourself goals, and if you have yourself goals, what happens is you become self-motivated, right? And you'll do lots of work, inshallah. Okay, MP. If you took medicine capsules and realized after taking them that they had gelatin, are you sinful? Nope. you're not sinful. You didn't know, so Allah does not hold people responsible for things that they did accidentally. That's the only medicine I have at home for diarrhea till tomorrow. So can I take them tonight? Yes, you can take them. Yeah, because there's nothing else available, you can take them. May Allah give you shifa. Even though they got gelatin, even though they have gelatin, take them, inshallah. So the ruling basically is that for medicinal purposes, there is a big dispensation that the scholars give, because your health is more important than anything in your life. Because of your health, right? So many rules in Islam will be adjusted for your health. And diarrhea can be very bad. I mean, I experienced diarrhea in Pakistan when I was studying, and oh, trust me, you don't want to know the kind of things that I went through with diarrhea. I had every week, once a week, like bad diarrhea. Yeah, in Pakistan they used to call it motion. You tell the teacher, yeah, I've got motion. Yeah, motion here. And the teacher understood, okay, motion. Yeah. So because it was motion in that proper fifth gear motion, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was like, you 1 minute you're in class and 1 minute you're on the toilet. That's the kind of motion. It was like speed of light motion. One of those ones. Okay, some people suffer from OCD after covering rules in fiqh. What advice would you give to come over waswasa? Yeah. So, this, I actually thought about this question. This is a very good question. Some people do suffer from OCD. They have lots of like kind of these whispers and thoughts about, is this impure and is my aqidah correct and all that. They have this it's very, very bad for some people. It affects their families and everything. What I found is the problem is not in the fiqh. The problem is in themselves. They're suffering from this from before. Generally, certain people who are very, very perfectionists, right, like doing things very, very specific and precise and everything like that. It's very hard for them when they study fiqh and they learn a rule. They try to be very precise in that rule, exact, and then they find that it becomes very burdensome upon them. What I would suggest is, with people like that, you have to be very easy. Tell them about the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remind them how kind Allah is, and remind them that, look, end of the day is that Allah only judges people according to their abilities, right? So they shouldn't burden themselves. They should take the dispensations in Islam. That's all that comes to my mind. Okay, next. ما الحكم عن الحية ومقدارها عند الحنفية؟ ما الحكم عن حية؟ حية يعني snake. الحية. I don't think I understood that one. ما الحكم عن الحية ومقدارها عند الحنفية? Okay, that's a really good question about personality and fiqh. I look forward to the fiqh series. Very interesting topic. Jazakallah khair, inshallah. What's the practical steps? The other question was, how long do you think, like a series, if I have a series, how long do you think each video should be? Put in the comments what you would watch, and if it was longer than this that you wouldn't watch it, just let me know, so I know when I'm making these videos, I know how long to keep them. Okay, what's the practical? Habib, mashallah, long time no hear. I hear you on my mashallah patrons. May Allah reward you a lot. What's the practical steps one can take to have steadfastness, istiqamah, when learning different Islamic sciences? Should one opt for 100% in the first go? Okay, so I think I've understood your question. Are you basically saying, when you're studying, how many subjects you should study at once, or are you saying how deep you should go? Is that what you're saying? So if you can just in the comments mention that, then I think it's a good question. Sharif, mashallah, how's everything on your side? Alaikum assalam. Will it be permissible to hunt wild boars just for the hunt? Here there is an epidemic of them destroying crops. Yes, you can hunt them for that reason. Is there a hadith which states cats increase provision? Not to my knowledge. I've not come across that. Firaz, I was recommending a name for the new cat. Oh, Asad. Oh, Asad, mashallah. Right, yeah. So Asad. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Lion, yeah. Labwa. So Labwa is like a cub. Okay, Matt Jones, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Just want to say, in loving your Sarf series, please upload it more times every week. Inshallah. At the moment, I can only upload once a week. It's because, see, when I make a series, I mean, as you can see in some of the ways I teach some of the books, it's very different from how normal people teach it. The reason is because sometimes I sit down with my iPad. Yeah, here's my trusted iPad. So I sit down with the iPad and I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, I put myself in the shoes of an average student that I know. And then I think to myself, okay, how would I explain this to them? How would I explain this to a new Muslim? How would I explain this to a child? How would I explain this to someone who... Have you ever seen this series? They have, I can't remember what YouTube channel it's on, but it's basically they bring in an expert and the expert has to explain the same concept to 5 different levels of people, like a child, and then someone who's like in school, and someone who's in university, and someone who's in master's degree and PhD, right? They do that. I was thinking of something very similar because that's how I like to think. So when I teach something, I always think to myself, look, if I take a particular science, like for instance, like sarf, I'm thinking to myself, what is the main thing I want them to understand that's going to be beneficial for them? Like, I don't want to teach them things that are not going to be useful to them later on. I want to teach them in a way that is going to be productive. It's the most, like, according to the pedagogy of teaching, it's like very, very effective. So that's why sometimes it takes me a long time just to think of how am I going to teach it. And then sometimes I'll do several takes. And I won't like some of them and I'll just reject them and I'll just take only one. So inshallah, I'll try to make more, inshallah. Okay. He was woke. That's a new word, isn't it? Wa alaikum assalam. Umar Surya. Bizk, mashallah, haven't seen you for a very long time. How's everything with you? Murid must sleep today and write kitab. Kitab ko. Ko kitab. Kitab ko plus A. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. She's so cute. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Long Q&A. Alhamdulillah. This is how we do it. This is how we roll, guys. Yeah, just tell everyone. Tell them all. Yeah, this is how we roll. Long Q&As. We roll long Q&As because we only come after a very long time as well. Okay. هل يجوز الرجل إذا دخل في مسجد أن يسلم الناس مشغولون في ذكر الله كالصلاة عند الحنفية لا. Yeah, according to Hanafis, if people are busy, preoccupied in worship, you shouldn't give them salam. How do the Atharis approach this then? How do they approach this? What do you mean this? Please, can you do a video covering the differences? Oh, please, you're not going to start your Aqidah wars with, who else is it? That FIFA. Please, can you do a video covering the difference between the Asharis and Maturidis? Inshallah. That's going to require some very advanced topics I'm going to talk about. So I'll have to do some very basic things for that. But yeah, hopefully in the future I do plan on. Can you start a series for nouns and particles? Nouns and particles, in what way nouns and particles? I mean, K, revenge from rapists, is it permissible? As in the government, I mean, Islamically, you can't, there's no such thing as like being Batman. Yeah, so being a vigilante, you can't do that. So you have to get, government has to carry out the penalty, otherwise there's going to be chaos. Who named the surahs of the Quran? There's a whole big discussion there. Zizibo, alaikum assalam. Zara Khan, can you recommend some books one can self-read regarding usul hadith to strengthen it? Yeah, I mean, can you read Arabic? Zara Khan, can you read Arabic? If you can't read Arabic, then the books of Muhammad Kamali, right, very good. Muhammad Kamali, very good. Okay, but in Arabic there's some very good ones, like for example Ajaj Khatib, he's got Usul Hadith, very good. Sheikh Juday, yeah, very good as well. I regularly read that one. Sheikh Juday's book on Usul Hadith, what is it called? I forgot the name of the book. May I ask, what are the stick men in the background in front of the kitabs? They look interesting. Yeah, so these are my... Say hello to my friends. Say hello to my friends. These are my friends, these are. Yeah, so my little niece comes and she just always points at these and starts eating them. So I'm going to use these for some of my series. So basically, I want to make some subjects very interactive. So I want to use, stick men to kind of explain certain... ideas, right? So these are the kind of things I've been looking into. Okay, you guys have just woken up the cat, and I still have a name cat. We just call her Catty. Yeah, she's just been sleeping away. Okay, Diggs word, is it permissible to work for a bank but in a role that is not related to the financial aspects at all? For example, health and safety. Yes, those kind of job descriptions would be allowed because they're generic, the ulama say. So yeah, there's scope in that. Is there any books related to Madkhal, to the Hanafi school you would recommend? Yes, there's a book called Madkhal, Al-Madkhal ila al-Fiqh al-Hanafi by Dr. Salah Abul Hajj. Dr. Salah Abul Hajj, very, very good book. Madkhal by Dr. Salah Abul Hajj. Okay, Judaism. Why is my life such a mess? My parents are troublesome, and any advice? Life is difficult, man. So that's the honest truth. Yeah, life is difficult. You know, Allah says in the Quran, "Ja'alna ba'dakum li ba'din fitna." We've made some of you fitnas for others. We made some of you tribulations for others. We made some of you a means of putting other people into problems. Atasbirun, will you have sabr? So sometimes in life, sabr is needed. That's all we can say. You know, having parents, having children, having brothers and sisters, having colleagues at work, and students and teachers, we have problems, and you know, may Allah make the problems easy. But like the Quran says, in jahadaka, if your parents, even if they, you know, do anything, you can't disobey them unless they command you to do something which is directly against the laws of Allah. Yeah, and that's the honest truth, as we can't really kind of do anything to change and give ourselves a utopian society. Okay, what is the ruling of keeping the beard and the limit of it according to the Hanafis? Dr. Salah Hajj has a whole treatise written on it. There does seem to be a difference of opinion. Although the early Hanafis seem to be mentioning about the beard having a lengthened beard, but having a specific sort of like fist has been differed by Hanafis. You find many Indian subcontinent Hanafis are quite strict on the concept of the fist, and the other Hanafis, Syrian Hanafis, Egyptian Hanafis, are give permissibility of cutting it short as long as there's some hair on the jaws. Ustaz, I think about 45 minutes to an hour will be good for a series. For each video, yeah? For each video. Your cat is really cute, mashallah. I think the names Zunaira and Zaliha are nice names. Actually, it's actually good names there. Yeah, Zunaira and Zaliha. Yeah. Okay, Zeds. You like Zed names, yeah? Zaman. Zulayha Zaman. Okay, Habib. Jazakallah khair. Remembering Sim's length of videos should be 8 to 10 minutes. And the ones that grasp the whole thing taught less, let's say in lesson 1, should be okay. Yeah, I think about 10-15 minutes is something which otherwise more than that is just people just switch off. To lesson 2 or rewatch until 100% what is taught in lesson 1. Yes, excellent point, excellent. I think 20-30 minutes videos are a decent amount of time. Too less is not enough info, and too long. So you're one of the people who likes a lot of information, yeah? Okay, I understand. Okay, it's a good point, that is. So I've got 3 ideas so far: 45 minutes, about 10 minutes, and about 30 minutes. Khadija, wa alaikum assalam. Hope you're well, and I hope you're well as well. What kitabs do you teach? What is your favorite to teach? I teach Arabic, spoken Arabic. Again, I have my own way of teaching spoken Arabic. Very different from what I've experienced. I teach fiqh, so I teach basic fiqh. I teach usul hadith. I teach usul fiqh. I teach Tirmidhi. I teach Hidayah. I teach what else? Quduri. I teach some other things as well, like Quranic Arabic and things. And then I teach things online as well. So yeah, I teach quite a lot of things. Yeah, but because I've taught a lot of these things before, it's like I don't need to do too much reading for them. So I've taught them many times before. So it's quite kind of easy for me to kind of teach a lot of these things. But what I do is I tend to read, like, so maybe for example, if I'm teaching usul al-fiqh, at the moment what I'm reading is on the side for my own benefit. I'm teaching Nur al-Anwar, so I'm reading usul fusul fil usul Jassas. I'm reading that on the side as well. And last year I was reading a bit of Abdul Aziz al-Bukhari's commentary on Matn al-Manar. So I was reading that on the side. And Usul al-Sarakhsi I read as well. So yeah, so I kind of try to strengthen my own reading as well and my own general knowledge by reading books which I'm not going to necessarily teach, but they're just to improve my understanding. Because I personally believe that if you want to teach something, like for example, if you want to teach something this much, you need to know this much, right? If you really want to be able to get the student to understand and grasp what the subject is about. Otherwise, if you just stick to, like if I'm teaching Quduri and I just stick to Quduri, then it's like I'm not really kind of seeing the bigger picture of things. When I teach Quduri, I don't teach all these other things that I read, right? Now, I don't do that because I don't feel that that is appropriate for the student. What I do teach them is I teach them Quduri, but if they have questions and things, I'm able to explain those questions in a much easier way. I don't understand. Do you guys get that? Is that all you guys do? And Khadija, do you teach or are you studying? Okay, let's say by 10 you get 50 to 60% of the material. You should once force himself practically to stay on the course and finish, and practical steps one should take. Okay, let's say by lesson 10 you get only 50 to 60% of material. How should one force himself practically to stay on the course and finish, and any practical steps? Okay, if you by lesson 10, and how many lessons are there altogether? If you've done 10 lessons, it depends on what course you're doing as well. I would say if you're only getting 50-60%, you need to recap everything again. Recap it. You should be hitting 70 to 80% understanding. Right, 70-80% understanding is crucial. Otherwise, 50-60%, you're missing too much. I mean, if you're missing 20-30%, you can get away with that. Great motivation to learn Arabic and setting goals. Do you have a list of goals in a notebook, or you have typed up timetable online? Do you use any apps or websites? So many questions, mashallah. And you're ill as well. You're ill, you got so many questions. Yeah, it might be the gelatin. Astaghfirullah. Gelatine's kicking in. Giving you too many questions. I don't have anything written down. I used to have things written down, but I don't know where to put them. So now what I tend to do is like I've kind of evolved my methods of keeping track of goals. Right. So I kind of use more sort of like mental notes of things. So because in my mind I've got this kind of sketch of how I teach a subject. So now I know what kind of things to set. Does that make sense? But if you like, I can make it might be a good idea. Do one of my crash courses. I can show you how I make a particular sort of like how each book I believe should be taught. How sarf should be taught, how nahu should be taught, how fiqh should be taught, usul should be taught, aqidah, etc. Might be actually a good idea. I mean, if that sounds like a good idea, put in the comments. Okay. Also, can you do a video or series on sanad you do for Tirmidhi? Really like the different take. Yes, I'm actually thinking about doing one of those, a full thing going through Tirmidhi maybe. Because I think a lot of people, they don't really benefit from Tirmidhi when they teach in Dars Nizami, because they don't visualize it, so they can't see the sanad. So I think that if a student can see the sanad and see the problems in the sanad, and they straight away understand what Imam Tirmidhi was trying to say to the people, the readers. Does that make sense? And if you can't see the problems in the sanad, it's like talking about a tree that's got some broken branches, let's say, but the person can't visualize what the tree looks like. So they have to invent their own visualization of it, and it's very difficult. So yeah, I think yes. And I mean, what I tend to do in the Tirmidhi is I tend to show the students how Bukhari's approached it and how Muslims approached it as well. So you can see like a cross section of how this hadith, Imam Bukhari looked at it and what he took, what sanad he took, what Tirmidhi took, what Imam Muslim took, and why Imam Muslim doesn't take certain chains and why Bukhari does the same. I love you for the sake of Allah, Habib, and your name is Habib. How can I not love you for the sake of Allah, bro? May Allah keep us united in this dunya and the akhirah. And we should meet up sometime. Yeah, why not? I mean, it'd be a good idea if we can meet up, inshallah. Maybe go somewhere to eat or something. Yeah, it's something which is not going to cause my arthritis to go crazy. Yes, I can read Arabic. Yes, you can read Arabic. So what I would suggest is, okay, so you got 3 options here if you want to read, like really kind of pump up your usul hadith. And these are the contemporary books, not the classical books. Contemporary books I would suggest is reading something like Usul Hadith by Al-Ghawrji, Abdul Majid Ghawrji, Usul Hadith by Al-Ajjaj Al-Khatib, and the Usul Hadith book written by Sheikh Abdullah Judai. Yeah, Sheikh Abdullah Judai, very, very good. I mean, I'll show you guys. This is my basically collection of books I have in my YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you guys see that? Is it visible? Is it non-visible? So basically, if I always have it on night mode because I don't like the blue light. Yeah, so if you guys can see that, so these are the books that I generally read. So these are all sorts of books that I have. Yeah, there's that. Some of these are very advanced. Some of them are just, and I just go through them with my pen and I make notes on the side, annotations. All right, so the book I'm talking about is Usul Hadith book. Where is it? Okay, Tahrir Ulum al-Hadith. Right, Tahrir Ulum al-Hadith there. Yeah, very, very useful. Very, very good. Okay, so we're almost finished, guys. We're almost finished. SGGS. That's a killer name, that is. Wa alaikum assalam. Quickly, could you please tell us what would you advise for the curricula for children 7 to 8 for homeschoolers? Curricula, I have no children of my own. I do not know how children should be taught. Are you talking about Islamic studies? I hope so, because I don't have any experience in secular studies. What I would suggest is, from my own experience, Safar Academy books are very, very thorough. Yeah, very, very relevant for children living in the UK. Yeah, so Safar Academy, SAFAR Academy, type that in Google, and they've got a whole series of books. Yeah, Tahrir Ulum al-Hadith. Umar Surya, can I wipe over socks for wudu? According to the Hanafi opinion, no, you wouldn't be able to. If it's thin socks, no, it has to be thick, quite thick. In other words, if they cover your feet and you can walk a distance of 3 miles in them, right, without them tearing, then you can wipe over them. And regarding the medicine, I asked the pharmacist, and they had gelatin, and they thought they didn't, so I bought them. I only checked the ingredients after taking them. Yes, it's okay because you've got nothing else for now. But I would say try to. If they're expensive and you can't return them, then just take them, because wasting money as well is not going to be appropriate. And there is a difference of opinion with regards to gelatin as well in this matter. So there's like more scope, there's more leniency when it comes to medicines, more leniency. That's why I'm saying that it would be fine that say otherwise, if you can get, and they're not that expensive, and you can get others, I would say get the other option. What's the best way to strengthen trust in Allah? The best way to strengthen trust in Allah is to trust in Allah. That's it. You've just got to tie your camel and go for it. Just leave it to Allah. Zara Khan, if you're teaching and you hear the adhan being given, is it okay to carry on teaching the lesson, or do you have to stop and listen to the words of the adhan and reply to them? Yeah, if you're teaching, I mean, one of our teachers, whenever the adhan used to start, he would stop. However, it's not necessary. You can carry on, because the jawab of the adhan is not the wording, it's actually going, after you hear the adhan, going to the mosque to pray. That's the asal jawab. That's the original meaning of answer the adhan, means, go for the salat. Okay, how do I know the difference between the real Sufis and the fake ones? I have no idea, bro. Yeah, I don't know. Is it like the ones that bring you closer to Allah, the real ones, the ones that don't, or fake ones? It's very difficult to tell. I mean, the main thing is, look, try to stay in the company of people who bring you closer to Allah. Yeah. Well, Abdullah Safi, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh, do you enjoy poetry of Rumi, Attar, and others? I haven't really got into that kind of poetry. You see, when I study poetry, the thing that I do in poetry is I don't try to just look for nice, fancy sort of like wordings and those kind of things. What I look for in poetry is poetry that's going to help me understand Quran. That's my main sort of like mission at the moment. I want to understand poetry so that if I hear any poem, I can straight away understand what they're saying and I can feel the emotions as well. That's my aim at the moment. Once I reach that level, right, then I can appreciate the Quran at a very deep level. So at the moment, I'm not really too much into them. Okay, Umar said, are you Bale? Are you Balle? What's that, bro? Please do special dua, special series in the month of Rabiul Awwal covering the blessed seerah of the Prophet. Yeah, very good idea. Actually, you know what? That might be I was actually thinking about doing a seerah series from the Quran, looking at the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ from the Quran perspective. Okay, able. Are you able? Am I able? Okay, I like small length videos because if you want more, we can go back to older ones. Yeah, small length ones. Yeah, you're a small lengther. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Kulthum, if one is childless and are thinking of doing IVF, is it just showing that they are not patient with the qadr of Allah? Should they just remain patient? No, they go for it because medicine is part of trusting Allah. So taking medicine is actually part of the qadr of Allah. Remember, the qadr of Allah is not just waiting for something to happen and it just randomly happens. No, qadr of Allah is you take the steps. So qadr of Allah is going to work. Qadr of Allah is buying yourself food from the shops. Qadr of Allah is taking the right medicines. Yeah, definitely. Are you able to do a series from scratch on Arabic speaking, brother? I see the Arabic speaking cannot be done through videos. I personally believe Arabic speaking has to be done live. You got to have it live, otherwise you can't communicate. Communication is important live. Salam Mahmoud Rahman. Wa alaikum assalam. What is the best way to study Hidayah and what should be the aims and outcomes from the book for the student? The aims of Hidayah should be understanding, I would say, how Imam Hidayah is presenting his own research in explaining the Hanafi school, the Masail. That's what you should aim for. Every single masala, try to understand how is Imam Hidayah perceiving the Hanafi approach in this. Like, what steps is he taking? What's the background sort of like things that are in his mind for why he's writing what he's writing? That's what you want to understand. That's how I try to teach it. So, I mean, I don't know. Have you studied Hidayah? Are you studying at the moment? Wa alaikum assalam, Sharif. What is the sunnah for the length of the Jummah khutbah? Jummah khutbah should actually be very, very short. Some of them say that the length of the Jummah khutbah should only take the duration of reading, I think it's about 30 ayahs of the Quran. So the time it takes you to read 30 ayahs, that's how long the Sahaba said it would be in their days. Okay. Tirate Melur, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much for asking. I'm very well. How are you? Suhail Patel, wa alaikum assalam. How do the poor remain grateful to Allah when they have so little? How do they keep faith in Allah is not providing them with what others have? I mean, this is a very good question. This requires a lot of explanation because it all goes back down to the idea, the concept of the philosophy of the world, of the universe. In other words, what is the philosophy of the universe? What is the universe? What is life? What is planet? What is society? What is sustenance? What is human growth? What is, development? What is illness? All these things that we have in life. All of this is part of the entire alam that Allah has created, the dunya Allah has created. And within this, if you accept that there has to be a dunya, you must accept that there has to be problems that come with dunya. There has to be byproducts of dunya. There has to be side effects of the dunya. Right? So one of them is that there are going to be rich people, there are going to be poor people. You cannot have this system without this. Right? So in other words, to us, when we look at it, we see it as something unfair sometimes. that how come this person's rich and how come this person's super poor, right? Why is it like this? But in reality, if you look at the grand scheme of things, this is how the planet Earth is going to live, right? Why did iPhone create a particular iPhone, and why is it that this iPhone, they didn't put this technology in the, same things can apply to how humans manufacture things as well. That we have limitations, the Earth has limitations, the laws of the universe have limitations. Allah does not have any limitations, but Allah has deliberately designed the Earth like this. So Allah in the Quran, He says as well that نحن قسمنا بينهم معيشتهم, we are the ones who have divided the sustenance amongst the people, and some of them we've raised over others so that people can take the services of others. Okay, Ustad, I was checking us through your plays. I did not see Nahu, and is there going to be a Nahu video at some point? Yeah, I've done Ajurumiyah. Have you seen Ajurumiyah? Video length 10 to 15 minutes. Also have longer videos. Okay, good point. أي العلم أحب لك من العلوم التي تدرس؟ حاليا أحب أصول الفقه وأصول الحديث والحديث والتفسير. I mean, it's very difficult for me to say. I find it very hard to say which one I like the most. Do you think the Quduri is good to study, or is it better to study Lubab because Lubab has all the different scholars' opinions already? I personally think a person should study Quduri first, then Lubab. Very, very important. Quduri is a very unique book, and unfortunately, in the way it was taught for many people, it's just translated. But it shouldn't just be translated. Because if you think about it, qadis, judges in the past would actually study Quduri and memorize it to become a judge. So it's not just about the translation. It's about the meaning of it as well. So I personally believe that, Sheikh Suhail Hanif, who I study from as well, he believes that the Quduri is a very important text to study as well. Lubab is very good. But the thing people have to remember is that you can't, imagine your swimming pool. You can't throw a person in Lubab straight away. You got to put them into the easy pool first. Understand the matan, understand how matans work. What was the whole point of Quduri writing this text? Why does he explain a text differently from how other contemporary Hanafis in his days were writing texts? Mufti Abdul Rahman thinks it's better to study Lubab. Possibly. Videos on how to teach certain guitars will be very useful, inshallah. Hafiz Saab, I enjoyed seeing the sketch and diagram with notes you made in Quduri. I think it was to do with Shirka. Do more than please, because it helps someone understand, inshallah. Zahir Akhtar, mashallah, beautiful cat. Jazakallah khair, Zahir, thank you very much. I hope you're well. Habib, yes, Sheikh, I invite you to visit Kuwait. That's where oh, you're in Kuwait. Subhanallah. And we'll, inshallah, have a blast. Definitely, we'll meet you the moment I get inside UK. Matt Jones, a bit personal, but which city do you live in UK? I live in Birmingham. Brummie. If you can't tell by my accent. I'm a Brummie, guys. Khadija, teaching in Chicago, but Talib al-Ilm with Mufti Kawthari online. Love the advice you gave about teaching. Would love to learn Tirmizi from you. Looking forward to your videos. Inshallah, Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah. I do have a whole series on Tirmizi that are recordings. They're not, but I haven't done the sketches. So the sketches, inshallah, I'll think about doing them. Yeah. Okay, may Allah put barakah in your ilm, in your teaching. And in Chicago, I have many friends over there. One of them, Sheikh Bilal Ansari. Yeah, Sayyidina Bilal Ansari, mashallah. Muhammad Turay, when to lift your finger during tashahhud. I've actually made a video of this, right? So according to Hanafis, you lift your finger when you say La, negating La ilaha illa. And when you say illa, you put it down. I wanted to do further studies in Hadith, Usul Hadith, and Alimiyah. Do you have any advice? Yes, I definitely agree. It would be excellent to do it. Where do you live? It depends where you live, who you have access to, how far you can travel, maybe studying online. Is it ending soon? Still I have time. Ask a question. Yeah, it's going to end soon. If you can quickly ask. Muhammad Rahman, I'm studying Hidayah at the moment, and when I don't understand, I try to refer to Binaya, but in my experience, he doesn't approach Hidayah in the way you've described. Yes, the thing about commentaries and tafsirs you have to remember is it's according to the approach of the commentator, how he wants to approach it. It's not a big picture why the chapter is presented as it is and how it shows the way the school works. It's a line by line explanation. Yeah, Binaya is a bit like that. How should I not get distracted by social media? How do you get time to do all this stuff? Excellent question, man. You gotta make lots of dua to Allah. Read Quran every day. Allah puts barakah in your time. It's very hard. Can pets be given Muslim human names? Yes, inshallah they can. Do you live by Alam Rock? Yes, I actually live very close to Alam Rock. Rehan Mir, which shuru in Arabic for kududi would you recommend? Jawharatun Nayyara is very good. Jawharatun Nayyara, Lubab is very good. Tashih wa Tarjih by Qasim bin Qatlub Agha is very good. Hidayah is probably one of the most common ones. Zara Khan, what advice would you give for self-discipline, e.g. going over work revision? I'm from Birmingham. It's very difficult to say how you'd self-discipline yourself. Just have a timetable, I would say, and try to stick to it and be practical with your timetable. Like, for example, if you find that you can only work 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day or maybe just half an hour a day, keep that, but keep consistent, right? And just like try to keep in contact with someone so that you're kind of like being mentored or supervised. So you tell them, look, I've done this much this week. I've done this, and what do you advise? Stuff like that. Do you have any other please start the Ibarat reading classes. Oh yeah, those ones, remember. Do you have any explanation that you could recommend other than Binaya approach the way you've described? It's very difficult to say because no one's really because when scholars wrote commentaries, you see what happens is people think that the entire explanation of Hanafi madhab is in the commentary. It's not in the commentary. It was passed down teacher to student like that. Teacher to student. So that's the kind of thing we forget. So it's that kind of teacher-student thing that was there in the past. It was like the unwritten commentary that we don't see. But then when we see these written ones, we kind of can't see how comes they're not explaining the Hanafis. Same with the tafsirs. There was a unwritten explanation of tafsir that people knew. And then this written tafsir, right, when you just read that, you can't see how they would understand the tafsir in a more structured, systematic, a coherent kind of way. Okay, Ameen, Jazakallah Khair. You remind me of Bilal Ansari. Yeah, mashallah. Me and him were together at one time, alhamdulillah, in Pakistan. Okay, anyway, I have to go now. I am very tired, and Kati is very tired as well. She is basically on my lap, as you can see, and she is look, her neck, it's gonna like fall off or something, I don't know. And every time I try to move or something, she has a little electric shock. So anyway, Jazakumullah Khair. I hopefully, inshallah, I will try to make some so hopefully, inshallah, I'll try to make some more videos in the future. And otherwise, just keep up with my posts and say bye-bye to my friend. Say bye-bye to my friend. Everyone say bye-bye to all them. Say bye-bye. Yeah, she's drowsy. Okay, so Jazakallah Khair. Jazakallah Khair, guys, and I will see you guys all next time. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's been a very long time, almost 2 hours now. 2 hours, about 2 hours. So alhamdulillah, all you guys are watching from different parts of the world. May Allah keep us all together. May Allah keep us all happy, and may Allah reward all of you guys for all the kindness you guys are showing me and her as well, by just watching us at this time of the night. So I will see all of you guys next time, inshallah. Remember your du'as as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.